Jack, Rocky, and Layla continued their adventures on the scenic roads of America, full of hope and eagerness to help others. Each day brought new encounters and opportunities, and Jack felt that with Rocky and Layla by his side, he could handle any challenge. One day, driving through a small town, Jack noticed that the atmosphere was unsettling. People were gathered in groups, discussing something in whispers. He stopped and approached the locals to find out what was going on. It turned out that there was an outbreak of a disease affecting pets in the town. Jack felt uneasy. He knew Layla was newly vulnerable and the disease could have threatened her. He made an immediate decision. They needed to find a veterinarian and get Layla medical attention. Together with Rocky, he headed to the nearest veterinary clinic. When they entered, Jack saw that there were other pet owners waiting who were also concerned about their pet's illness. Layla looked a little lethargic, and Jack felt his heart clench with anxiety. The veterinarian quickly examined Layla and confirmed Jack's fears. "Your dog is showing signs of illness. We need to start treatment immediately," he said with a serious face. Jack felt a chill go down inside him. He knew time was of the essence, and the vet began prescribing medication. For a few days, Jack and Rocky stayed in town taking care of Layla. They did everything they could to support her. Rocky never left her side, wagging his tail and trying to cheer her up. Jack would often sit by Layla's side, stroking her and telling her everything was going to be okay. But unfortunately, Layla's condition was not improving. Each day passed with hope, but the vet reported that the disease was progressing. Jack felt hopeless. He didn't know what more could be done to help his dog. One day when Jack arrived at the clinic, the vet greeted him with a sad face. "I'm sorry, but your dog's condition is critical. We need to discuss options," he said. Jack's heart clenched. He didn't want to hear this. "I can't lose her," he whispered, unable to hold back the tears. "She's my family. I don't know how to live without her." The vet, understanding his pain, said, "We can try another course of treatment, but the chances are slim." Jack nodded, feeling hope dying inside him. He decided he would do whatever it took to save Layla. Days turned into weeks, and Layla's condition continued to deteriorate. Jack and Rocky tried to support her, but every time they went into the clinic, the vet delivered disappointing news. Jack felt defenseless. He didn't know how to help his dog, and this was the most difficult ordeal of his life. Finally, on one of the usual days when Jack arrived at the clinic, the vet looked particularly sad. "I'm so sorry, Jack," he said. "Layla can't fight anymore. If you'd like, we can do this peacefully." Those words pierced Jack's heart. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He looked at Layla, who lay weakly, and his heart broke. He knew she was suffering, and despite his pain, he realized that this might be the only way to help her. With tears in his eyes, Jack walked over to Layla and hugged her. "You'll always be in my heart, Layla," he said as he stroked her. "I'll never forget all the moments we spent together." Rocky, sitting next to him, also wagged his tail as if he understood what was happening. The vet performed the procedure, and the moment Layla left, Jack felt his world crumble. He was left with Rocky in his arms, tears streaming down his face. "We lost her, Rocky," he said, unable to contain his grief. After the event, Jack felt devastated. The journey that had once brought him joy now seemed pointless. He didn't know how to move on, and every day was a struggle for him to deal with the bitterness of loss. Rocky, realizing that his master was suffering, tried to support him by always being there for him. He spent hours, Jack and Rocky continued their journey, but now with a heavy heart. Each day was filled with memories of Layla, and though Jack tried to move on, the emptiness left by her departure kept him busy. He knew he had to find a way to deal with the grief and turn it into something positive. One day, while driving through a small town, Jack saw an advertisement for a charity event that was being held in support of the local homeless animal shelter. The event was raising money to treat and feed the animals, and Jack felt that it might be just what he needed. He knew Layla would approve of it. As he prepared for the event, Jack thought about how he could help. He decided that he would sell his pictures that he had taken during his travels, and he would donate all the money raised to the orphanage. With Rocky by his side, he began collecting his best shots and preparing them for the exhibition. On the day of the event, Jack was determined. He loaded the photos onto his motorcycle and headed into town with Rocky. When they arrived, Jack was amazed at the number of people gathered in the square. The atmosphere was friendly and warm, and he felt his heart fill with hope. Jack set up his booth and began to display pictures. Rocky, with his tail wagging, attracted the attention of visitors, and many stopped to pet him. Jack happily talked about his travels and the importance of caring for animals. Smiling, he shared stories about Layla and how she inspired him to help others. With each photo sold, Jack felt his soul fill with light. He knew he was doing something important, and it helped him deal with his grief. People came up to him inquiring about his work and making donations. Jack was touched by how many people supported this noble cause. At the end of the day, Jack had raised a significant amount of money, and he proudly handed it over to the representatives of the shelter. They were very grateful for his help and offered Jack the opportunity to volunteer. Jack, feeling that this could be a new beginning for him, agreed. From that day forward, Jack and Rocky became regular volunteers at the shelter. They helped care for the animals, walked the dogs, and spent time with the cats. Jack felt his heart begin to heal, and he realized he was making the world a better place, just like Layla once did. Time passed, and every week Jack and Rocky returned to the shelter. They made many new friends, both among the staff and the animals. Jack became especially attached to one small dog named Benny. Benny was playful and energetic, and when Jack spent time with him, he felt his heart fill with joy again. However, despite all the positive changes, Jack sometimes felt the shadow of grief still haunting him. In the midst of his volunteer duties, he would sometimes stop, remembering Layla and the incredible bond they had. But instead of wallowing in sadness, he tried to remember the love and devotion she brought to his life. One day when Jack and Rocky arrived at the shelter, they learned that Benny needed urgent medical attention. He had been diagnosed with a medical condition that required surgery. Jack, remembering his fight for Layla, felt a rush of fear. He didn't want to lose another friend again, and despite his sadness, he knew he had to act. Jack organized a charity event to raise money for Benny's surgery. He used his photos and invited his friends and acquaintances to help. The event was a great success, and Jack was filled with hope when he learned that the money raised for Benny's treatment had exceeded all expectations. On the day of the surgery, Jack was nervous as he waited for news. He went to the clinic where Benny was being treated and, sitting with Rocky, prayed that everything would go well. Soon the vet came out smiling. "The surgery went well. Benny is fine," he said. Jack felt tears of happiness come to his eyes. He knew he had done everything he could to help this little creature, and now Benny would live. He walked out of the clinic with Rocky, hugging him and feeling that life had meaning again. A few weeks passed and Benny recovered from his surgery. Jack continued to volunteer at the shelter and his bond with Benny grew stronger and stronger. He made the decision to adopt him, and as they left the shelter together, Jack realized he had happiness back in his life. With Rocky and Benny by his side, Jack felt like his heart was full of love again. He began to realize that Layla would always be a part of his life, and her spirit lived on in every good deed he did. He still missed her, but now he knew he could carry on her legacy by helping others. Jack, Rocky, and Benny's travels became even more fulfilling. They continued to explore the world, helping homeless animals, and doing what they could to make life better. Each new day was filled with laughter, adventure, and love, and Jack felt like his life had meaning again. "Thank you, Layla," he whispered in silence as he looked at his four-legged friends. "You'll always be with me." And with each new day, he continued to follow the road of goodness, knowing that with Rocky and Benny by his side, many more amazing adventures awaited them.